Good morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, out of Voice of Radio. So today, we need to take a look at an incredibly inventive, incredibly awesome deck that I am absolutely falling in love with. And it's all based around our boy Quagsire. You see, Quagsire's got a rather phenomenal ability that allows you to move as much water energy as you like to your active Pokemon. Whenever you feel like it, you can just move water energy to your active Pokemon. And Quagsire's been great. It's been great with Naganadel accelerating energy to itself and then Quagsire moving it to the active. It's been great with Red and Blue, evolving a GX, attaching a couple of energy while you do so, and then moving it to the active. But what is particularly awesome about this deck is that it actually abuses special energy to be a little bit specially good. You see, one of the very, very best cards we're getting in Pokemon Sword and Shield is Aurora Energy. You have to discard a card from your hand in order to attach it, but then it counts as any kind of energy. So the way to think about it is like Rainbow Energy, but instead of taking a damage counter when you attach it, you have to discard a card from your hand when you attach it. Cool. And then we also play 4 copies of the unit energy, and that's it, incidentally. 4 copies of Aurora Energy, 4 copies of the Grass, Fire, Water unit energy, and that's it. That is all the energy that we're playing. But you see, ladies and gentlemen, they can all be moved to the active using Quagsire, and that's pretty gosh darned awesome. Now, we are going to need some attackers, and you may or may not be surprised to hear that this is a Mewtwo and Mew deck. Yeah, Mewtwo and Mew is still one of the best decks in the format. Mewtwo and Mew is still pretty gosh darned ridiculous. It allows you to use the attacks of any Pokemon EX or GX that you've got either on the field or in your discard pile. And of course, there are a whole bunch of Pokemon we're going to be playing around with here. So let's start a bit of a list, shall we? One of the weirder ones here is Muck and Alolan Muck. I love Muck and Alolan Muck. It's a very fun card. 1 Psychic, 2 Colorless Energy. Poison, but you put 8 damage counters on between turns. 1 Psychic, 3 Colorless, 120. But if your opponent's active is poisoned, you heal 100 from the active Pokemon, which could be Muck and Alolan Muck, but it's probably going to be Mewtwo and Mew. But it's also got a GX attack for 0 energy, automatic paralysis, automatic poison. But if you choose to put energy on there, 4 if we're being precise, then you also get to poison your opponent's Pokemon to the tune of 15 damage counters between turns. Yeah, that's going to add up pretty gosh darned quickly. Now, as well as Mewtwo and Mew, we've got Mega Lopunny and Jigglypuff, which is largely here for the attack for 3 Colorless Energy that does, well, 60 damage base, and then an extra 60 for each GX your opponent or EX they have on the field. That adds up very, very quickly. Now, if you've got 5 energy on, you can do Sleep and hit 220 your opponent's bench, but that's not the main goal here. Now, we've got Arceus and Dialga and Palkia. This is the GX attack you generally want to use. If you've got a Metal Energy on there, for the rest of the game you do 30 more damage. If you've got a Metal and a Water, for the rest of the game you take an extra prize when you take a KO, as well as doing 30 more damage. And remember, if you're not getting KO'd here, you can use a GX attack with Arceus and Dialga and Palkia, switch out to something else, and then move the energy over to them, and just keep attacking. We've got Venusaur and Snivy here, another one of the newer tag team GXs. Really, it's got an ability that allows you to discard a grass energy from your hand, and then swap your opponent's active with one of their bench. That's the best thing about Venusaur and Snivy. And you don't play any grass energy. Which means what we're actually doing here is probably using the GX attack, 3 Colorless Energy, 50 to all of your opponent's Pokemon, or 5 Colorless Energy, you also get to heal all damage from all of your Pokemon. To be fair, it's also your grass attacker here, one of them at least, and you'll notice that we want to be hitting for as many weaknesses as we can. So yes, you can copy Venusaur and Snivy with Mewtwo and Mew, but you can also just use it as a grass attacker. That's pretty awesome. Reshiram and Charizard needs little explanation at this stage. It's a Pokemon we've seen over and over again. 3 energy, 200 damage as a GX attack, 4 energy, 230. Though it has got Outrage, so you can do more damage for each damage counter on it. Or I suppose 6 energy, you do 300 damage and go through any effects on the defending Pokemon. So if something's trying to block you, something like an Alolan Ninetales, you can just go right through it using this. Which could be fun, though you do need 6 of your 8 energy on the same Pokemon at the same time to do it, which can get awkward. We've got Raichu and Alolan Raichu. 3 energy if you became active this turn, 160 plus paralysis. But generally what we're doing here is just attacking with a lot of different types, and this will do it nicely. We've got Latios GX that's got an attack that makes you immune to tag teams next turn. Yeah, that's going to be pretty helpful, because there's a lot of tag teams around. So go Latios, quite frankly. And this is a deck that actually plays Vileplume GX. Now, it doesn't play the pre-evolutions, but remember, it doesn't need to, because you can pop it in the discard pile and then copy it using Mewtwo and Mew. And the great thing about Vileplume GX, I mean, it's got a really nice ability. The ability just once during your turn, you may heal 30 from each of your Pokemon. But remember, you're not playing the pre-evolutions, so it becomes irrelevant. What we really have here is the attack, 1 grass, 1 colourless energy, 180 damage, minus 10 for each damage counter on this Pokemon. So yes, Venusaur and Snivy is a decent grass attacker, but this is for just 2 energy, 180. Remember, if you want to hit for grass weakness, Vileplume won't help you. You're being copied by the Psychic-type Mewtwo and Mew. Venusaur and Celebi is the I'm hitting for grass weakness. This is actually just a really nice attack to use in a Mewtwo and Mew deck, because you don't have any better way of hitting that much damage for just 2 energy. Now, the last 2 attackers we've got here are massively covered by Glare, but I've sent them to a couple of good friends like the lovely Primal Lugia and the lovely Mr. Stolas, and between us, we reckon that we've got Darkrai and Umbreon and Darkrai, and Gardevoir and Sylveon. Now, Gardevoir and Sylveon has got a lovely GX attack that makes your opponent shuffle their entire hand into their deck. But unfortunately, it takes 6 Fairy Energy, and you don't have 6 Fairy Energy. You can do the 200 damage version of it, but you cannot do the shuffling your opponent's hand into their deck version of it. 4 Aurora Energy, 4 Unit Energy, and only the Aurora Energy will provide Fairy. The GX attack here, off limits. It is for 6 energy though. 3 energy, 150, but you can move all your energy around, great for redistributing it. And 1 colourless energy, well, it's kind of pointless. You search your deck for 2 Fairy Energy, but there's no Fairy Energy in your deck. But this is good for redistributing energy, and it's also a good option for against a Dragon Pokemon. You've got a Fairy Pokemon to hit for weakness. And as for Umbreon and Darkrai, you'll be hitting the odd thing for weakness. You won't be hitting much for weakness, honestly, because it's only really ghost Pokemon that are weak to darkness. Although do remember, we can look at stuff like in DDV now and see that Psychic Pokemon in Sword and Shield and moving forward are weak to darkness. So this is going to become a lot more relevant as time goes by. But we've got 3 energy, 150 to the active, 60 to one of your opponent's benched EX or GX. 1 colourless energy, your opponent can't play trainers next turn. 6 darkness energy, instant KO on your opponent's active Pokemon. Yeah, that's not actually possible here, because you're only playing 4 darkness energy in reality. You're playing 4 Aurora Energy, they're the only ones that can give you darkness energy. Boo Hiss, etc. We've then got 2 Dedenne GX to give you a little bit of extra consistency and let you draw some extra cards. And you've got 2 Zero Aura GX that give you free retreat if you've got lightning energy attached, which in this case is Aurora energy. This is important because you want to switch between Pokemon here. That's really crucial. What you want to do here is constantly be switching and then using Quagsire to move your energy to the active. So free retreat with Zero Aura becomes absolutely huge. Now, in terms of energy, like I've said, we've got 4 Aura energy, 4 unit energy. That's it. That's what you're playing. In terms of trainer cards, we're playing 4 copies of Cherish Ball, searches out all your GXs, and 4 copies of Quick Ball, searches out all your basic Pokemon, which is literally everything except for Quagsire. We also play 4 copies of Tag Call here, because we're playing a bunch of tag teams and a bunch of tag team supporters. In terms of tag team supporters, we're playing 3 copies of Mallow and Lana, lets you switch and heal, and like I've said, if you get KO'd in this deck, you lose all your energy. You've got to keep your energy. Getting KO'd, it's very, very much like the old Kling Clang deck. If you take a big one-hit KO and lose all your energy, you lose. We're not accelerating energy. What we're doing is manually attaching, but we're keeping our Pokemon alive and switching the energy round. The second you get a big KO in the mid-game and lose all your energy, you basically lose the game right there and then. We also see a copy of Cynthia and Caitlin, which is just really good draw and recovers your supporters. A copy of Belelba and Bryson Man for a bit of cheeky milling. If your opponent's ever got 3 cards or fewer left in their deck, you drop this, you win. But you can also wreck your opponent's bench using this. If they've got a large bench built up, you can discard 3 cards from your hand, and each player discards until they got 3 bench Pokemon remaining. There will be turns where that can win you the game. And then we've got Guzma and Hala, lets you search for a Pokemon tool, a stadium, and a special energy, bearing in mind how important special energy is here. In terms of tools, we're playing Giant Charm, gives you an extra 30 HP. Remember, the whole point of this deck is not getting KO'd. Having an extra 30 HP is huge. We do play 1 copy of Island Challenge Amulet, which removes 100 HP and means you give up 1 less prize. This isn't really great on all your tag teams here, because you really don't want to get KO'd, but it is great to make your Dedenne a single prize Pokemon if your opponent tries to KO it. In terms of stadiums, we've got Chaotic Swell. It's just a counter stadium. And then we do play 1 Pokemon Communication and 1 Evolution Incense, because we do need a lot of Pokemon search, and we especially need some way to get our Quagsire out the deck. This is how we do so. And then to finish off, we got 3 copies of Professor Magnolia and 3 copies of Marnie. These are fairly standard. They see a lot of play in a lot of decks. Oh, and 2 copies of Judge. Because if you can slow your opponent down here, you can just switch between your attackers and smash for victory. I love this deck. Like I say, it's very, very much like the old Kling Clang deck. It's nerve-wracking because 1 big one-hit KO can lose you the game. But if your opponent can't get a big one-hit KO, you just continually swap between the perfect attacker and win. And it really is as simple as that, ladies and gentlemen. It's a great deck, one that I love very much. I don't know if I personally have the nerves to play a deck like this, but I'll tell you that Kling Clang won the US National Championship, so maybe this is one we should take a bit more seriously. For now, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to know what you think about this deck, how good you think it is, so let me know in the comment section. Go nuts, be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWassy, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCGRadio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all that good stuff, head on over to patreon.com/PTCGRadio, where you can do exactly that. And please do make sure you're checking out youtube.com/WassyPlays, where you can find out about a whole bunch of games that don't have Pokemon in, but are pretty gosh darn awesome regardless. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.